I think that speaks high value on what type of volume of what type of businesses you have in the community. Um, and that also goes on to the residents as you look at property value. You can have a house that's in Madeira, same structure as a house in Forest Park. The house in Madeira is going to be close to 300,000 to 400,000, where in some areas of Forest Park it's going to be close to 1 to 200,000. So I really look at how are we developing and what are we bringing to the community. So that's where I really strive toward economic development. And again, my techie side of me, I strive on data. And so that was my key first choice. Like, okay, how can I get on this committee and how can I bring my expertise, but also see what value we're putting into Forest Park?
Did I freeze? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Because I just got a pop-up. Erin, you want to ask the question?
Yes. So I understand that you are in tech currently, and you said you own your own business. Where's your business located?
Downtown Cincinnati.
Downtown. Okay. Are you interested in bringing more tech jobs to the city, or are you just want to join Economic Development Commission to just potentially bring any type of business and then maybe get more clientele that could benefit from your particular services?
I think it would be a mixture of both. So when you say back to the city, the good thing about us is we are remote. So my base is downtown Cincinnati, but I have people who work with me that are on our team in Indiana. My HR director, she is in Springdale. Communications director is in Mason. We are spread across. And that is the goal that I want to see. We not only just have people work for us, we actually teach them and we get them certified. So they're in these positions, in these tech positions. But also when I say data and the technical, I look at everything on numbers. And so when you're looking at things in numbers, how does that affect the community? What is driving those numbers? So I'm looking for, with the economic department, I would look for them to say, okay, we're going to have these many jobs come in and we're going to work with this amount of companies and this is what we can bring. But who do we already have in our community that can actually do those jobs? Who do we have in our community that would be able to put their resume in and actually go online and say, I'm an engineer. I am a retail expert. Who do we already have instead of looking outside? And that's how we create that economic power, and we create that cost of being able to rise because we're spending money within the community instead of having a lot of our residents already go out to the jobs in Mason and in Westchester and even in downtown Cincinnati, so it's what do we want to offer our community? And that's what I'm looking at. So it's a wide range. It's for both. It's for to be able to, the more jobs, to be honest, the more clients we have, the more we can hire, right? But then also, what does it look like for who we're hiring? Who needs to have an understanding of actually being in corporate America? And then how many entrepreneurs do we have within Forest Park that actually can drive more, that can bring more jobs into Forest Park? And so that's what I'm looking at, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Forest Park. It was just some people who just don't know. I didn't know that I could go to Forest Park. Like they wouldn't know that, hey, I could reach out to council and they can work with me on my business, and I can let them know this is what I do. A lot of people just don't know that.
Okay.
Really quick follow-up. So now I understand you said to a part of your mission is bringing the cultural gap and then placing women in tech jobs. Do you serve any Forest Park businesses currently, or have you placed anyone in a tech job in any business that is in Forest Park presently?
We haven't yet, no.
Okay.
No, we actually did. We just joined the chamber, so I'm excited about that. And
Okay.
then we actually I met with, I want to say the president of Emeritus. And so I had a good conversation with him. But it's a process. You know, when we started as vendors with Procter and Gamble, it took us a year and a half, you know, to actually be able to say, hey, we want them on this project. It's a process. But once we get there, it's a lot easier to open those doors and to allow those positions. And so when I said the cultural gap, it goes back to
Mhm.
2020, only 25% women had tech jobs and only 3.1 for African American. But if we don't know those jobs are out there, we won't apply for them.
Um, what other volunteer activities are you currently involved with?
So I also sit on the board of Queen City Foundation. So I sit on that. Do you guys know what that is? So Queen City Foundation is a foundation that helps Black and Brown children get into private schools, so that they have an understanding of what it looks like to be in that environment. It also it helps children that are not in private schools that are, you know, want to go to Wanna Hills. What do they need to study for? Their SAT, what does that look like? Financial understanding, it helps them with that. It starts in fourth grade. And what we do is we actually help children to get an understanding of what that will mean for them to move forward and progress. So they participate in the Black Engineering Science Bowl over at UC. They do STEM labs. So I participate with that. I do attend Rock Life Baptist Church. So I am on Watson, the women's ministry. And we also last year, right before COVID, we had also started a campaign within our company to give away scholarships for seniors that were taking technology, that were going into a STEM field. So we were giving away a $2,000 scholarship, one for a male, one for a female. So we were volunteering for that last year to try to get students more engaged into the tech force.
Um, is there a particular area or department within the City of Forest Park municipality um, operation that you have been? Well, I guess this is not a question for you because you're not a resident yet. You're not a real resident. I was going to ask if there was anything there that had particularly pleased or you have not been pleased with, but I
I
don't know if that
can
would be
answer that.
okay.
So like again, like I said, growing up here and being a resident of Forest Park, but then all my family is pretty much in Forest Park. My grandmother's in Forest Park. My brother lives in Forest Park off of Waycross. Um, and so one of the things that I am not particularly pleased with is our Kroger. Our Kroger is different than other Krogers in the neighborhood. I wasn't pleased that we have to lock up Tide Pods to, you know, get them to be able to purchase them. And I think we can do better, but it also starts with the right connections down in the different Kroger divisions of how we built that out.
So since you're dissatisfied with Kroger, have you done anything to address that?
Yes, so I actually reached out to a friend of mine who works with the customer support for KPF, and we've had a discussion about it. And so her and I are in talks of how could we actually change that and what does that look like? And I'm waiting on her to get back with me now.
Okay. So how did you learn about the this opportunity to serve on a commission in Forest Park?
I reached out to Paul Bram. I think I'm saying his last name right. I reached out to him about just learning more about what we could do in Forest Park as a company, joining the chamber. And as him and I began to talk, he actually said, I think this would be great for you. Are you interested? And I said, I would love to do something like that. I just didn't know about it.
So if we have other people that are applying for the same positions or the same commissions. So if this commission is not available to you, a committee is not available to you, is there another committee that you're willing to serve on? Because we try to match, I'm not saying you won't, but we try to match the best talent to the commission or the committee.
I
So
think
in the event.
I think the initiating and planning um, is something I would be interested in, but my passion is in economic development.
So you're saying if you don't get that spot, then you're not willing to serve on any other board or
No,
commission?
I'm willing to learn a little more about. I didn't look into any other committees, so I don't know exactly what the other committees do. I would have to make sure, because any committee that I serve on, I want to make sure that I'm a good fit, but that you're a good fit for me as well. I don't want to serve on a committee I can't give my all to, or I don't know something about, and I'm trying to figure out as I go. I want to be able to make sure that I'm giving you my all, because regardless of where I sit, I want to be proficient in it. So I think that it would be fair for me, even if the Economic Development Committee is not one that is chosen for me, to be able to learn more about the other committees, because I really didn't research those.
Okay. Aaron?
I don't have any more questions. I think that was kind of like the end of the list. But is there anything that we didn't ask you that you think that we should know? Any other bit of information that you want to volunteer?
I think with me, let's see, I am whatever I put myself into, I always give 100%. It's what I do naturally from my career. I am a strategic planner. I look at, I believe that with any agility that you bring in business, you have to know you have to have cultural agility first. And I think that's where a lot of businesses fall short, is it's a lot of practices, but you have to know the people that you're working with. And with any committee that you sit on, you have to know the community that you're working with. And what does that community look like? And are we giving the community everything that we can so that they can be successful? Um, and so that's pretty much, I would say, with me. I'm just want to make sure that any committee that I sit on, like, again, I'm being proficient in it, um, because I am my hardest, probably my biggest critic, but I strive to do what's right. Um, and then also, I'm going to look at it from a business point of view as well, and just make sure what we're doing from a business side is great for the people and it's great for the community. Because sometimes we can think we're doing what's best for the people and we can hurt the community. So you have to look at that on the economic value as well. What kind of stores we have in our community, that can help hurt your end value of your median of what your community is. So we don't want to do that. And so I'm going to look at it from that point of view too, because we want to make sure that we're teaching people to strive in their community, that they know I live here and I'm happy to come home. I work right across the street. I want to do this. They want to live in this community. We don't want people buying houses and then 2 years later they sell them. And when that starts to happen, the houses around will start to go down. And I definitely don't want that for my house that I just purchased. So I want to see everyone else succeed, and also, what does it look like for the school levies? And how is that going to help? And what are we doing for them? So I'm just looking at it from a holistic view. And that's anything that I sit on. I want to make sure that I'm looking at it that way and I'm giving my all.
Okay. Really quick, I do have a very quick follow up to that. So I understand you're a CEO of your own company. You're very used to building teams and leading teams. However, there's a commonly we defer to department heads as leaders of committees such as this. And I just wanted to know, because there's a difference between key players and there are role players, but it's all team building. So I just wanted to know how willing you are to defer to the department head as the final say on decisions that a committee might come to, and supporting that department head in those decisions and even offering up advice, but not so much trying to disregard anything that a department head says.
Well, that's the same thing that I do every day. So I don't, my title is actually the Chief Strategy Officer. So what I deal with is presidents, CEOs, vice presidents. My job is to advise them and also to listen when they're saying something for the team. What we're doing is we're coming in building a team. We're coming in making sure the team is correct. That goes to the cultural agility. If you're not doing that, then it doesn't matter for anyone. So you have to be able to have a team. It's not, cultural agility is not me by myself. And when I say me, I just mean anybody. It's not just that one person. It's being able to say, so your department lead would be considered me talking to an executive sponsor of a project and saying, okay, well, this is where we think is going to work for the team. We're seeing that this is falling short. And they have the last say to say, yep, I agree, or nope, you know what? How do we go back and pivot and make this different? And so that's what I do on a daily basis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can tell you some of the other commissions that are available. On the Civil Service Commission, there's one position. The Charter Revision Committee, there are 2 positions. On the Beautification Committee, we can get up to 3 more people on that committee. On the Economic Development, there's only one position available there. Environmental Awareness Board of Directors, there are 2 positions open on that. Parks and Recs, there's 1. There are no positions open on the planning commissions right now. The Stormwater Utility Board, there's 1 opening there. And the Tax Board of Review, there are no openings there.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make you aware of the commissions that we have and
Okay.
how many openings that we have on each.
Gotcha. No
So
worries. Thank you so much.
So do you have any questions for us?
I do. So one of the questions that I have is, when you're choosing this person, what are you looking for? Are you looking for that to be in their background? Are you looking for someone to come in and learn? Are you looking for someone that's able to commit how many hours? Like, is it once a month that you meet? Is it twice a month that you meet? Are there meetings that are there things to do outside of the meetings and follow-up items that you're looking for? So just kind of get an understanding of when someone joins the Forest Park Board, what does that look like?
Well, all of the boards usually, well, not all of them, but Economic Development meets once a month on the 4th Wednesday of the month at 7:30 in the evening. What we look for, if you have the experience, that's a better, I mean, that's better. But if you have no experience and then there's another person that have the experience, then we will look toward that person more so than a person that does not have the experience. Of course, there have been people that have come on that don't have experience. It depends on how many people are interviewing at the time that will
Okay.
decide that. Also, your experience, your background, what you're offering, and that help us determine the person for the spot.
Gotcha.
Because we want the
Okay.
person, like you say, we want that person to be a good fit for us,
Mhm.
and we have to feel that you are a good fit
Right.
for us, and we are a good fit for you.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. About how many, I know you said that they meet once a month. Is there anything outside of there? Are there like usually follow-up action items that they do, like certain people take away task items that you've seen in these committees?
Diana, I've not attended the economic development meetings in the past. I just listened to one. We have our own committees that we serve on, and we don't necessarily go to all of the other meetings as council people.
Okay.
We liaison a committee, and those are the ones we normally attend. And if we are sit on another one, we will go to that meeting, but we don't necessarily go to them all.
Gotcha.
Diana might be able to give you a little more information as to how the economic development is run.
Right now, there is an Economic Development Commission that meets once a month, as Denise said, on the fourth Wednesday of the month. There is a Minority Business Development Initiative that is meeting once a month on the first Wednesday of the month. Some things have been going on possibly away from the committee, but the decisions are really in the hands, as Aaron said, of the department chair, because these committees are supposed to be advisory. So if there's anything, it might be just in the nature of gathering information and providing it to the department chair.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually serve on the planning committee, so I'm not on the economic development committee. But I to answer your first question, in particular, I am looking for residents who are committed, who do serve on other boards, so they might be familiar with an advisory and team-like environment. But there is going to be somebody who pulls the trigger, so to speak. A lot of people have good intention, but not everyone has a lot of experience or education. So in particular, depending on the committee, I'm looking for somebody with not only that experience and or education. So like economic development, yeah, you are a business owner. And in particular, I thought someone in a tech background would be a good fit. But someone, say you wanted to be on the planning commission, a lot of people have strong feelings about the houses in Forest Park and what type of houses should be built and should come. However, the feeling doesn't supersede people's experience or knowledge base when it comes to community building. So like, I would be more apt to take somebody who is into planning, obviously, or even architecture, because there are a lot of building plans that we have to sign off on and approve when it comes to not only the businesses that do come to the committee, but determining what they look like. A lot of times we may not have a say on exactly what type of business is in there, but we can determine if it fits the overall aesthetic and character of a neighborhood. So having people with that general understanding of like pipettes and roof size and setbacks and zoning variances and that type of jargon is really helpful. But yeah, Councilwoman Herbie sits on economic development, so she would know better than me what they need. But yeah, so I guess I'm a little bit biased because I think tech is a good spot, but there are other applicants for this, and economic development is highly coveted. But I like your answer about culture agility, because you do have to fit in with the culture. You have to understand the protocol. But
yeah, and that's not just in a board. That's in a business too. You can't just say, "Oh, we got great business ethics," but you got to have culture agility first. You have to. And it goes to the community. So I'm a very strong advocate of that. I told my sons I'm now a Jedi. I am justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion certified. And my son's like, that's not a real Jedi. So in my mind, it is.
Okay, so
Any other questions?
no, I don't have anything else for you, Aaron. Do you?
no, that was it for me.
So we will be having a discussion, and we'll be getting back in touch with you. So I really appreciate you talking with us today, and I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank
So
you very much.
I hope to be speaking to you soon.
I do too. Thank you, guys. This was fun. I was nervous, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, we don't bite. We don't bite. People say we do, but nah.
I didn't know what to expect on Zoom. I didn't know if you guys were going to be like at a conference room with all these mics and Zoom, and I'm like, here on a platform. So I was trying to figure out how it's gonna be, but you guys are great. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you too. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So Diana, I guess you're next.
I guess I am. Where do you want me to start?
To the top of the
Tell me, why do you want to volunteer to be on the board, the commission?
Well, what's driving this? And you know that I am not running for reelection. So I'm stepping back from council, but I do want to stay involved with the community. And when I am currently on the Environmental Awareness Committee as a resident, but also the council liaison. I was on that before I started council, and I've stayed on it through my whole term on council, and I will continue to do that as my terms end. But I put down two committees that I was interested in. One of them is Charter Commission, because I know that committee has been somewhat inactive because it's been without people for a long time. We finally have two people on there. I don't know. I thought you said there were only two available, Denise.
That's what I printed out today.
Okay. But
But
it's a 5-person, and I thought there were two people on there. At any rate, we are a charter community. That charter goes back to 1968, I think. And it's been revised, I think, 6 times over the years. And the last time was in the 80s. And so we really, I think, need to take a look at that. And the positions on that are unique in that it really takes people with some institutionalized memory of the city and what a charter run city means. Unfortunately, the founding fathers have pretty much all passed on. And so we're into now looking at second generation people who have that kind of institutionalized memory. Having been on council for 16 years gives me a good background in how the city functions, how it operates as a charter commission. Like I said, I think it needs to kind of look at, are there portions of that are outdated and possibly need to be updated? The other problem is, though, this is not governing the city by the charter. The charter is a broad document like the Constitution of the United States. And so you don't want to get specific and get into micromanaging through the charter. That's for ordinances. You have to understand what the purpose of the charter is. You've got to look at it with an eye of not being broad enough to allow the flexibility that you need through the ordinances and council policy and administrative action. But it does need to be looked at, and it does need to be considered. So having had this background on council, I think puts me in a unique position to kind of help with looking at that and casting an eye on that with the eye of someone who's been involved in this for 16 years. My family has been in Forest Park since 1968. I have personally haven't, but I'm probably a resident of almost probably 20 years. So I think that helps. The other commission that I'm looking at is the Economic Development Commission. And I've served on the Ways and Means Committee as its chair of that committee, and on the Economic Development Commission as a liaison. And the mission of the Economic Development Commission is really for business recruitment and business retention. And that has to be our focus because it fits into the Ways and Means, because that is the basis of our budget, is the business development in the community and the residential income taxes and the business taxes. And so we have to ensure that we have businesses that are going to, that we have that retention and recruitment piece that is foremost in what we're doing. The other thing is, there is a balance, an imbalance, I think, on the Economic Development Commission. We have one non-resident who owns a business here, which is a restaurant. We have one resident who's a restaurant owner. We have one resident who is a real estate agent. We have one resident who is in education. We have another resident who's in public service, and another resident who is an employment counselor with a business in Dayton. None of our large businesses are represented. Our bylaws state that you have to be a resident, a business owner, or a manager. And there has been pushback on that manager piece by some people on council, on the commission. I don't want to see that piece lost, because the only way we can get some of our large companies to be stakeholders in the Economic Development Commission is if they're managers, because Emeritus is owned in Oklahoma, or in Nebraska. You're only going to get a business manager from that company. Steel Summit is owned by a Japanese company. You're only going to get a manager from that company. And that's true of all our large businesses. So though I'm not a business owner, I know that perspective and that need. And in some ways, I want to stay on that commission as a resident for that voice to say, this is the direction we need to go in terms of having balance on that commission. And a balance that's going to focus on business development and business retention. This is key to our financial stability, is to have our business community thrive and to bring those kinds of businesses and those kind of companies into Forest Park that will have high paying jobs, like Emeritus and like tech companies, like medical companies. That's been the focus. And so, like I said, I've had probably at least, I haven't been on since the beginning that I've been on. I've been on that for probably 10 years or so, give or take. But I have that background and that knowledge of what is necessary for those two commissions.
Aaron? You have a question?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Yeah.
Really quick, just so I have a full understanding, how many committees are you interested in serving on? Or what are your top three?
I'm already on environmental, but I'm interested in charter and I'm interested in economic development.
Charter and economic development, okay.
That's the other thing. The positions on economic development I would have waited until after I left council, but those positions don't come up that often. And when I saw that this position opened up, I thought, I've got only 4 more months on council. And I do serve as a resident on another commission. So I thought I might jump on this now while the opportunity is there.
So is there any particular area or department in the city you've been displeased with? Stick to the format.
Property maintenance is a problem, but we don't have the
yes.
staff, and we don't have
Yes.
the authority to make people do things with their property beyond fining them, and people will pay the fines and not deal with the problem because it's cheaper for them. And so, but that's not a function of any problem with our staff, or it's a problem with just the nature of the beast. I learned that within my first couple of years on council. So I understand that. The other thing that I'm concerned about, and again, it's not a problem with the staff or the department, but with the reality of our budget. I have been so incredibly concerned that when the housing bubble crashed and it had an impact on our budget, that one of the important things that had to be cut were road projects. And I know that Dave, when he came on here, worked tirelessly to try to get into a rotation system where roads would be treated periodically every about 6 to 8 years. We had to abandon that, and that's a problem for me. I don't think we still have recovered the balance in our budget that we had at that time. And so that still is a challenge. But again, it's not a problem with the departments. It's a problem with the nature of our funding. And that's the other problem is our taxes. What's going to happen with our taxes in terms of what's happening in Columbus and what could be the fallout from the pandemic.
In particular, for your interest with the Charter Revision Committee, can you just elaborate a little bit more? Because you say you don't want to get into micromanagement. And since we're a charter community, I guess this is more of kind of like with constitutional law, like a textualist versus originalist argument. So can you elaborate just a bit
Well,
more about specific
for
examples?
example, there are only about 3 of our committees and commissions that have been established by the charter. One is civil service, one is planning. They may be the only 2. All of our other committees and commissions are established by ordinance. So I don't see a necessity for taking those committees and putting them into the charter. The charter has to be flexible enough to be able to deal with issues through ordinance rather than putting them into the charter. But there could be procedures in the charter that we're not following because as times have changed, the charter may just have been ignored in order to function. So we need to look at the charter as, like I said, a document like the Constitution, which is dealing with broad issues and only needs to be changed like the Constitution has been changed very rarely and only periodically through those amendments that have been added. And there's only like 24, 6 or 8 of them that exist in over 200 years. So the charter is not where the business of the city is taking place. That's taking place through ordinances and resolutions.
Yeah.
It's a governing document that says we are a civil service community. You can opt out of civil service, as I understand it, but we are designed to be a civil service community. So there's an establishment of this is a city manager form of government. If we wanted to change this, like Cincinnati did, to a strong mayor, we'd have to change the charter. So that charter is like a governing document. It gives you the broad bones of how the structure of the city is organized, but it's not to deal with day-to-day actions that should be taken through a different venue. But it is by the charter, I believe it has to be reviewed at least once a year and a report made to council. So, it would be good to take in that yearly review a close look at whether there are things that need to be addressed.
Okay, so that's Charter Commission, Economic Development, and you're already environmental
We're
awareness.
already on environmental, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I don't have any more questions. Aaron, do you have any?
Yes. Who's your favorite member of council? Now,
Aaron Brown, of course.
No, I don't have any more questions.
No. No.
We already know. Okay, Diana, thank you for talking with us. And I guess Aaron and I will have to have a discussion
Yes.
about the candidates that we,
Can I ask you a question? I know that our mayor has submitted an application. Is he being interviewed for
if
planning
if he's
commission and charter?
Mayor, if he was on, if you're on,
His council iPad is on.
Yeah, Councilwoman, we're not at liberty to discuss any other
You
So-
all are joking.
Are we going to interview? I think we should interview him.
so Mayor Johnson, why do you, I noticed that you applied for the Charter Commission.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why you're interested in
Well, it was
serving
the-
on?
when I moved
Give
to
us your
Forest Park.
credentials.
When I moved to Forest Park 100 years ago, the Charter Commission was the first public service that I did. There were at that time 5 members, and all of them except one was an attorney, and they were, that was their profession, law and government. The one gentleman who was not an attorney was a business owner and a consultant. I was intrigued by the knowledge of these people. I'm going to show my age a little bit here, because these guys were, by and large, the people who formed Forest Park and the people who actually participated in the drawing up and writing of the charter. So I had the advantage of serving on a committee with the founding fathers, so to speak. And I learned so much from them about what governments were and what governments did. And I'd like to, it would be kind of like going back home, being on that committee again after 20 years of doing council and other stuff. And I look forward to that. You all are on council, and you've seen and read the charter. It's a very good document, but like everything else, there are things in the charter that applied then that are just not applicable anymore because times have changed, and we need to take a look at it. The big problem with the charter and changing the charter is it has to be done by a vote of the people during an election. So, it makes it very, very, very difficult to change anything in there. Because number one, elections cost money, especially if you do it in a special election. And you would be talking about trying to figure out a way to put these things on the ballot so that the ballot does not end up, you don't want to make it so busy that people are looking at 10, 12, 15 different changes at the same time to the charter. Yeah, so it's going to be a difficult challenge. I'm glad that the people who are uncharted now, I think are doing it and are going to do a good job. I know that there will be a review as is required, but it is something that we need to go back and look at and come to the council and say, hey, here are 3 things that we definitely need to change. There may be some others that we can wait on down the road, but here are 3 things that we definitely need to change. We need to put these things on the ballot and get them changed for the good of everybody. Because when you don't, you end up stumbling. And by stumbling, I mean, you keep trying to do things so that you aren't violating the charter, but at the same time, you are. And a lot of that, like I said, that often happens more. The ways that happen is because things, you just as a kind of weird, a wild example. If you got something in the charter that dealt with how things ought to have been based on 1960s traffic law, And here we are in 2021 going into 2022. Well, that just doesn't fit anymore.
True. So when will you be available to start?
I think it froze.
I think I have a lot to offer it. I've been around long enough and I've served on that committee. I know how it functions. I know what it can do and what it can't do. And I think I would be in a position to advise council of here's some things, here are three things, maybe, let's look at 2 things a year. Here are 3 things that we need to look at immediately. So that's why I think I want to be on the charter commission. And according to our attorney, our law director, and it's been that way for a long time, there is no prohibition against a council member serving on other committees and commissions at the same time they're on council, as long as they are residents.
Okay, yeah, because that was one question that
residents, so we can do that. And in a lot of cases, Councilwoman Hope, we have to, because there's certain committees out there where we just can't get people. It's easy to get people to serve on, quote, the glamorous committees, but it's not so easy.
You froze again, Chuck.
By the same token, I think one of the things that people who serve on our committees and commission don't understand, and I think both you and Councilman Brown brought it up earlier, all of our committees and commissions are voluntary. They're people by volunteers, but they're all advisory. Most of our committees and commissions have no real power, and they aren't supposed to. All you're supposed to do is to advise or give assistance to the department director. A lot of people don't like doing it. I think it was Councilman Brown that asked that question earlier. A lot of people have a hard time being on committees or commissions where they aren't making the decisions. Right. And in reality, our committees and commissions, with some exceptions, don't make decisions. Right. When you get past those 3 that were mentioned that are in the charter, planning, Parks and Recs, and the I just forgot that there's a third one.
Civil
service.
Other than those 3, the committee members don't really make decisions. They make recommendations or they can make suggestions. And like I said, a lot of people have a hard time with that concept. I'm giving all this time, I'm kind of going to all these meetings, yet the department head and or the city manager and or council, for that matter, can say after all that, thank you, but no thank you. We heard you, but we're not going to do it. We're going to do something else. That's a hard concept for people to deal with. So, but that's the answer to your question. That's why I want to get back on charge.
Okay, thank you. Aaron, you have questions or comments?
What other volunteer activities are you currently involved with?
Oh gosh. Let's see. My fraternity, of course. My political party.
You froze again.
And he's at the office.
Yeah, like I know. It's a bad location for the connection.
We haven't heard anything you said because you were frozen again.
Okay, I'll go over that again. I'm active in my fraternity. I'm active in my political party. I'm active in my church. as mayor and council, as mayor of the council, I am a quasi member of all committees and commissions. I have been a member of the, I'm a shelter man, have been a shelter manager for Red Cross for at least 25 years. So I volunteer at the library.
Yep, you froze again. Hmm.
I didn't get that or not, Denise.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, when you got to the library, then you
Yeah.
froze again, but we get the gist of it.
can I ask him a question?
That you're very active. Yes, ma'am.
You also put on your application you were interested in planning. You want to address that?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I would like to stay on planning. However, currently there is no position on planning because the
Right.
Planning Commission, being one of those committees that are established by the charter, the Planning Commission, 2 spots on the Planning Commission must automatically be held by council members. Right now, those 2 council members are Mr. Brown and myself. I think there's a good possibility that there's going to be 1 or 2 positions that will come open.
Yep.
It requires some technical skills. Yeah.
Okay, you said 2 positions will more than likely become open. It requires chemical skills.
No, I said it requires a lot of technical skills. You're dealing with a lot of technical terminology and technical kinds of things in terms of setbacks and all of those things that goes into building houses and building and doing things. So
Okay. The stuff that you talked about earlier, Aaron, because
12 years, and I'd like to stay there. Yeah.
Although I'm familiar with some of those terms, I really don't know what, they all totally mean.
Right.
Everybody on the commission don't either.
You got that right.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Johnson, that's all I have for you.
Thank you all.
So thank you for interviewing with us.
No problem.
And we will be in touch.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too. So Diana, we will be in touch with you also.
Do you want to deal with Chuck first, and then I will recuse myself on a decision on Latasha and myself?
Huh? What was that again?
Do you want to make a decision about Chuck's application? And then when it comes to me on charter, because it involves me, I can recuse myself from that. And because there are 2 applicants for economic development, I can recuse myself from that.
Okay. So for Chuck, he wants the charter, be on the charter commission. I think that was his #1 preference. So I would recommend him for the charter commission.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with that recommendation.
I am too. Because there's nothing on planning, I would say that the recommendation ought to probably be, if a position becomes available, he would be recommended for that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm confused about that because he said 2 spots are held by council members, which are me and him. But once he doesn't run for re-election,
right?
Wouldn't 1 spot become available?
Then
I don't know
somebody else on council would have to be placed in that spot.
I don't know whether he is talking about a potential for other than those 2 chartered members. He may know something about a possibility of other people besides the ones that have to be there according to the charter.
Right.
Okay.
So if something, not if, because there will be a changeover with the council changeover.
Right.
But if there is another position or two that may come available, I think he would be a good fit for taking any spot other than those two chartered positions.
Okay.
Looking for my list. And as for Latasha Ward, I think she is really stuck on wanting to be on the planning commission.
Well,
I feel
economic
that-
development is the main
And
one.
I stuck on
I
the
mean, I'm
economic.
sorry, economic development, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, we need somebody on there that's a strong person that has been on the economic development commission for a while. Because some of the people on there are newer, and
Mhm.
and to throw another new person on there, I think we would be in for a disaster, for a lack of a better term.
Yeah, I think continuity would be good in that regard, especially because, Paul really needs the help. He needs that second voice that's going to back him up. It is supposed to be an advisory position. I will say though, I think she would be good for Economic Development Commission. So in the event that something opens up,
Right.
I think that she should be recommended due to the fact that we do need another business owner and someone who has understanding of tech jobs, so that we can begin to attract more tech to Forest Park. And I asked the question about if she had talked to any businesses, because, and I don't know if that would be a conflict of interest or whatever, but just to get the existing businesses into more modern times, if they need that type of expertise, they would turn to the commission, and they would have somebody on the commission who specializes in how businesses can go about doing that, upgrading their network infrastructure and their websites and all of these other things they're very complex. But I think as far as continuity, I think that is a really good point, especially talking about the voice of the manager, because two of our largest employers will only be able to see managers, because that's the type of insight that you would have if you were already on the commission, right? So I think as far as continuity goes, that is really, really strong point. And Paul need the backup, keeping people understanding. Like I said, there are difference between the role players and key players
Right.
on these committees. It's all really strong. But I think that should something open up, that Ms. Ward should be recommended. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I liked her interview, but like I said, we need somebody that's strong. We already have some new people and newer people there, and we need somebody with some experience to help support Paul.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that she didn't know any other
about any
committee
other
positions that she would be interested in.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, since there's nothing on planning anyway, it doesn't matter. But I didn't see how she'd be beneficial to planning. But I really like her. I think that she should be on some type of committee. But
I know
her expertise is fit the most for economic development. But yeah, I'm fine with keeping Councilwoman Herbie on that one. Her interview was good, though. Her interview was good. I liked her answers. It showed a little more preparation. I'm big on preparation. So
right.
I'm just trying to think, she wouldn't be on stormwater, but it would be good to keep someone like that involved in the city. I don't know
Right.
exactly what she was alluding to see how Forest Park was and how it is today. I mean, I don't get that. I mean, I've heard people say that, but I don't understand exactly what they mean when they say that. And they have, especially when they have like a minimal understanding of, and I didn't as well, but a minimal understanding of the situation with the mall to know that even though it's in our jurisdiction, it's not something that we own. It's privately owned.
Right.
So it's not like we can snap our fingers to handle that. But you know, I had the same mischaracterizations, perhaps not as deep, but
But
yeah.
I've had a conversation with her before, and I explained the mall situation to her because that was the first thing that
Oh,
came
okay.
out was about that mall that Forest Park we
Okay.
don't own that mall. And I even explained to her that all of the mall doesn't even sit in Forest Park.
Yeah.
You know, I also
Um,
explained Walmart and how their taxes and stuff is done. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah, and hopefully we do get to revisit that because that is an issue. But yeah, I'll also be interested in seeing or talking to Paul about this because if he said that she should try out for it, I mean, does he know if there's a position coming open or something? Like I just don't know in that regard. But um, just her bringing the tech experience, I think is really good.
Diana, do you know of
Or is it
anybody?
possible that she can begin to sit in on meetings in the event that something comes open and she's just like a non-voting member though?
You mean, is there anything on the horizon that could potentially open up? Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that's a
'Cause-
hard one.
yeah.
Actually, the longest serving is probably Eddie Miners,
Mhm.
and then probably Ed Stadnick, and then possibly Chelsea, and then maybe Ron, and Trevina's the newest. And
Okay.
I mean, when I started serving, oh my God, there were people who had been on there for years, very much like the
Mhm.
Charter Commission.
Mhm.
People had been on there for years.
But for
We've
the
had a
sake of
lot of,
continuity, you need some people. Yeah.
yeah, we've had a
Mhm.
lot of changeover. Um, we've had a lot of changes over since I've been on there. I don't know if Eddie was on there when I started. He may have been. He's the longest serving.
Mhm. Okay. I'm just trying to think of not even just that. That was the only one she was interested in, but there was some other committee position too, because keeping her involved with the city would be really good. Um,
Right. That's why I
just
asked her just in the event that,
right.
you know,
But yeah,
and
nothing else.
Well, no, I should just stay out of it
Yeah.
because I'm also a candidate.
But yeah, I guess that's it for me. So, all right.
yeah. Okay. So I guess, you know, I don't I don't want to announce over the air.
Right, right.
Right. So um I can put together the minutes and send them and then put on there what we are suggesting and
Denise,
then
Denise,
yes.
technically you have to vote you have to vote at the meeting. You can't do it outside of the meeting.
Although we could reconvene at another meeting. All right, well, we can vote now. It's fine
Well,
with me.
yeah, you could do that. You could do it.
I mean,
Okay.
we can vote now.
Yeah. Okay. So Diana, you want to come back on? Since we're going to vote then, then then was recommended that Chuck Johnson is recommended for the Charter Commission.
Right.
All in favor of that?
I
Aye.
Okay, so the two and I. So there are 3 yeses on that. On the EDC, Aaron and I said Diana, I nominate Diana for the EDC. So what do you
Oh,
say?
do I second it or?
Yeah.
Oh, well, second, I guess.
Okay. So all in favor is aye. Aye.
Aye.
So the two of us voted on that. So,
Did you want
mm,
to act on my interest in charter?
oh, oh yeah, there are several
Yeah.
openings for charters. So yeah, I recommend Diana also for the Charter Commission.
Yeah, second.
Okay, so that has passed too. I also say yes. Okay, so Diana will be recommended for the EDC and Charter Commission. Chuck will be,
But also Environmental Awareness Committee.
I'm
she's
already on
already
there.
on there
I'm already on there.
Oh, you are, okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
as a
My,
resident.
my term will come up at some point and it will be with all the others that are expiring and rolling over at the end of the year.
Okay.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's not.
And I will get in touch with Latasha Ward and advise her that we have chosen someone else to sit on the Economic Development Commission. And again, I will let her know what commissions are open and explain to her that we are really interested in her sitting on a commission to get her busy and involved in the city and to see if, give her a list of the commissions and see if she's interested in sitting on one of those until another opening come up for economic development. Because
Oh, I'm sorry.
because we would definitely have her in line for the next position that comes up in economic development.
Yeah, and I would be in favor of that, but I also would want to know if, because the commission meetings are open to the public, correct?
Yes.
So, if, because who knows when the next opening is going to come available, but I think it would be in all of our best interests if Diana, if you can invite her to at least one or two meetings, so she can see how everything plays, and then also speak to Paul about, because I mean he told her to go out for it as well, but because we could still benefit from her input. She just would be like a non-voting member, but I'm sure in some advisory capacity she would be able to say, like, if something tech related came up especially.
Yeah. I will say this, a couple things. One, like you said, Aaron, people can come to, and these are all public meetings.
Yeah.
Anyone who has an
Yeah.
interest in these, it behooves them to go and attend those meetings to learn things. Things like the Planning Commission. If you attend those all the time, you will catch on to all that jargon and all the technicalities. Yes. And so when something opens up, you're prepared and have the background to step in. The other thing is that oftentimes when we do not have things available, we will put them in the queue and say, we can revisit this at a later time. And sometimes those, we don't go back and revisit those that have been interviewed in the past. I know there have been any number of people who have been interested in an Economic Development Commission over the years. And it would behoove us to go back and say, a position has opened up. Are you still interested? And maybe get them back in for, like a follow-up interview. That we need to have a better way of tracking and keeping track of those kinds of things.
Right. And that's the reason. And I want to say, like, can people still attend? And I don't know if they will want to come every time, but like if they can attend and I don't even know if they can speak, but if it's if we are representing the community and these are meetings that are open to the public, if there's always time for public comment, then somebody with expertise who may not be a voting member should be able to be like, oh, hey, this is my perspective on it. As a resident, you should listen to me. And then since it's advisory anyway, the department head has to have the final say. But considering it is it's a very, very popular commission, I wonder if it would be in our best interest to expand at some point, to come around to that conversation about expanding, like adding a member or
Then that's
or
when it comes,
enforcing
that's when it will
term
come,
limits.
then that's where the charter will come, will come
Yeah,
in.
Well,
but we
no,
need to get people
no,
on the
not
charter.
not for economic development. Economic development is by ordinance.
Oh, it's by
Oh,
ordinance.
that's
Okay.
right.
Yeah, the
That's
So you would
right.
bylaws
have
could
to
That's
be,
have an
right. That's
the
ordinance to
right.
bylaws
amend
could be
that.
changed. The bylaws could be changed. But I would caution you about doing that, because just adding numbers could mean that you just get more of the same. And you still
That's true.
you still don't deal with that balance that is really needed
That's
on
true.
that committee.
Right.
Yeah. So I
Do-
mean,
we really need more representatives from our business community, and that's not what we're
Mhm.
getting. We're getting a lot of people who are residents that are business owners, but they're not business owners in our community.
Right.
And so we really need to, Paul has tried to go out and recruit people like that. We had one good person a couple of years ago that people on council objected to, that could have represented one of our big businesses in Forest Park. Not one of our huge ones, but a substantial sized one. We need that kind of balance that we don't have. And so just expanding, I'm afraid, could create just more of the same.
Okay. Well,
So, and
I think
then,
it would also be beneficial that we create some type of apparatus to go out and recruit, though,
Right, right.
because to fill some of these other committee positions.
Well,
Because
Paul
I think
has
hasn't
the
stormwater
network.
been sitting
I know
vacant?
that Paul has tried to do that with particularly with Emeritus, our largest business in the city. I know he's
Mhm.
tried. He has tried to get people in those kinds of positions, but it's time. I'm sure it's a time commitment on their part. Yeah, I know I know he recruited Paul Booth, who was on for a time, and that was the position that was created when Paul stepped away. And I know that he recruited Eddie because he had a concern about getting connections in the Northland corridor,
Mm.
and both of them owned businesses there, and was hoping that they could network with people in that corridor to help retention, and also with their connections throughout the city, because these are people who lived outside of the city but had businesses in the city, to try to help with recruitment to that corridor. So Paul, when he tries to recruit people, he has a purpose in mind.
Mhm.
Because he knows what is needed on that commission, and is trying to bring in people that can bring businesses in and help retain businesses here. So I trust his judgment on things, and I defer to him because he's good at what he does.
and then for a person to go in and attend the meetings, if they attend more than one meeting,
Right.
then it will show if they're really committed to this, and if it's really something that they want to be involved in.
Well,
Right,
I will
right.
tell you
That's
that
true.
this group suggests that people who are applying do attend meetings.
Right.
Because I think we've had instances where people have gone to meetings and they've come back and said, "This is not for me."
Yeah,
Not
no,
right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it behooves people to get involved and to see what the committees and the commissions actually do. And like Chuck spoke to, they're advisory, and they come in thinking that they're going to have an impact on, decisions that are being made, and that's not where the decisions are made. So it helps, I think, if people do come and do see what the committees and the commissions do and how they function. And before a final decision is made, perhaps by them in terms of whether they want to do this or not.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
All right. So that's all I have. Do you have
Sure.
anything else, Erin?
No, I'm fine.
So I'll put together the minutes and then
Thank you.
send them out.
Yeah, thank you.
Diana's usually the minute taker, but I guess she stood me up tonight. So
Oh, I didn't take minutes tonight. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
so,
You should have
so-
reminded me at the beginning. I would have taken them.
so
I didn't have the form in front of me.
see, I don't have a form either, so
I
that's
know.
why
don't
I
have a
just
form.
jotted down some stuff. But
You
I would
know,
do that.
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's very simple. You just put the raw bones of motions made and passed. You
Yeah,
don't have to go into all the discussion.
I won't. Okay,
Do you
so
want me
thanks,
to-
guys.
Do you want me to try to draft something and send it to you?
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll
And
try.
then if you miss something that I
I will.
have, then
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
add it.
I will.
Yes,
I'll
appreciate that.
I'll draft something. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Okay. Have a great evening and have a great holiday because I don't think we will speak
Yeah,
again
happy
Oh,
holiday.
you're right. Yeah.
before that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
But
won't see
we'll
you
be
till
back
after.
in chambers on to next
That's right,
Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I need to get out of the house. Okay. Good night.